Live.
All right, and we are live. Hi, I'm Philip Lee. I'm with Seward County Community College Public Relations and Marketing, and I'm here with Seward County Community College men's head basketball coach Jason Sautter. How are you today, Coach?
I'm blessed. I'm blessed. I'm talking to Phil, the Thrill Lee. I'm with it.
All right. Well, it certainly has been quite a semester for you guys, not just with COVID and such. The first thing I sort of want to talk about is that, we sort of look at basketball and sports as entertainment and something to get away with, but we really sometimes don't realize that there's a reality to this, and there are actually players that actually form a team and play. And this semester, you actually had kind of a scare and tragedy on the team.
Right, right. So what you're referring to is Sarakata Jawara,
Hmm.
and he's a returner from last year. Real tough kid, 6'7", good athlete, Division I type athlete. Was garnering a bunch of attention. This summer, he ended up going to Atlanta, Georgia, to a huge event where he was tabbed as one of the top 100 players in junior college as far as in the country. And at that event, they play a bunch of games. And at the end of the event, they put a all-star team together, 10 on this team and 10 on that team. So he ended up making that as well. So they had him tabbed as one of the top 20 junior college, players in the country as far as returners coming back. And came to school. He was good. Everything was good. We did all the COVID testing, which that's been obviously publicly known. He didn't test positive. We did cardiac screening. He passed that with flying colors. And then a few weeks after we did the initial COVID testing for all the athletes, he actually liked going to class. And about 8:18 in the morning, he had an 8 o'clock class. Just, Coach, I'm not in class. Da, da, da. I said, okay, come to my office. Let's, come to my office. Let's take a look at you. So he came strolling in. He looked like, death had ran him over. And he walks down the hallway right outside my office and says, I'm not feeling well. I'm hot. Da, da, da. I said, okay. So we took the little temperature gun, shot him on his forehead. It was normal. He's like, cool, I'm burning up. I was like, well, let's take you to the training room. We took him to the training room. Liz puts a thermometer underneath his tongue, and sure enough, 99.9 or something like that. Okay, fine. I grabbed my keys. I said, let's go. I took him to the county drive-through as far as to get him coronavirus tested, and that came back negative, which was great. And then, but he still kept feeling bad. And then just told him to go back to his room, rest, lay down. At this point, we just thought, okay, you're sick, just go to your room. Then, then the situation is, the next day, he stays in his room all day. He'll go get something to eat and then come back to his room. We'd bring stuff to him to eat, go back to his room. But a couple of days went past, and then Saturday morning, we had a workout, and he wanted to come to the workout, and he brought his shoes and everything. Like, Coach, I'm good to go. I'm ready. Like, I'm feeling better. No, get out of the gym. You're sick. You got a temperature. Go back to bed. Go back to your room. Get out of here. Saturday night, his roommate, basically he was complaining to his roommate that his chest was hurting, and it felt like it was just tightening in on him. And so he ended up being taken to the emergency room. Not even, 2 or 3 hours later, they life flighted him to Andover, and he was there for a night or two. Yeah, 2 nights. And then I was on my way to Andover to go visit him Monday morning. And Monday morning, I'm on my way. And as I'm on my way, I get a phone call from one of the nurses there saying, hey, is this the coach? I said, well, Depends on which coach you're looking for. At this point, I didn't know who was calling me, some strange number. So I said, depends on what coach you're looking for. Well, Surakata's coach. I said, absolutely, this is me. Who am I speaking with? They told me, and I said, they asked me where I was. I said, um, I'm about an hour away from Andover. And they said, well, we are flying him to Kansas City. And if you don't get here within the next 30 minutes, you're going to miss the flight to go to Kansas City with him. And I said, no problem. So I might not have, I'm not saying officially, gone 90 miles an hour or so through the streets of Wichita, but I made it. And I knew that I had to get there in plenty of time, not just to make the plane, but to talk to the doctors and the nurses and to figure out what exactly was going on. And basically his enzyme count was through the roof. They basically said that he had myocarditis, which is like inflammation of the heart. And then they said his enzyme levels were high, and that a virus had attacked his heart. And they said that they had tested him 3 times already for COVID, and in one day, 3 times in one day, because they just couldn't figure it out. And all of those came back negative. And so they had done all that they could do there. So they sent him to St. Luke's in Kansas City. And so we get on the plane, we get in the ambulance, we get on the plane, we fly to Kansas City. Probably took us maybe an hour. We got off, took the ambulance to St. Luke's, and they take him straight to ICU. After they took him straight to ICU, they took me to a conference room down the hall, and they said, hey, coach, just give us a half hour or so to get things set up, and then we'll have you come and be with him so, he'll feel comfortable. Phil, not even 15 minutes later, they come to this conference room where I'm at, and they, coach, we need you. Like, we need you right now. You need to come with us. And I don't think you can. I don't think you can imagine all the thoughts that were going through my head. Because when we were in Andover, the doctor there in Andover, the cardiologist said he's got maybe 2 days to live. And I said, if we don't get him, if they don't get him to Kansas City to get the treatment that he needs there. So I'm thinking, you got to be kidding me. We just flew all the way here, and this is going to happen now, like right now, like we just got here. And so she said, I'll explain. So the lady that got me out of the conference room, she said, I'll explain later. So I said, okay, no problem. So she ended up, as we're walking down the hall, she said, his heart rate and everything is just sky high. We need you to get alongside of him. We need you to talk him down, to calm him down, to just basically, like, he sees all these people that he doesn't know, and his heart rate's through the roof. And if he doesn't calm down, it's going to be drastic, and we don't need that. So I literally was on his left side, just basically whispering in his ear and just kind of petting his forehead and tapping him on his head, just like, hey, my man, like, we gotta calm down. Like, I'm here with you, like, and I'm holding his hand here and I'm petting his head with this hand, like, hey, hey man, like, I'm here, like, we're good. I know you want to fight, but you got to let these people do their job, and you got. He was on a breathing machine. He was on a balloon pump. He was, there was a lot of things going on, and he was fighting it. He just wanted to breathe on his own and all that stuff. He wasn't letting the machines do the work for him, and so he was just very anxious. And they said, you see that white number up there? That white number's in the 70s. That number needs to get down to the 40s, preferably 20s. But right now, we'll take the 40s. And so, so that was a battle right there with probably a half hour or so, just trying to keep him slowed down. And it was amazing. I mean, it basically really affirmed to me just the power of someone being there for somebody, and
Mhm.
just the power, like how powerful your mind is. Like it can go, like whatever you're thinking, it can go from negative to positive, like literally can save your life. And so that was a long day. I was in his room till for about probably 7.5 hours, until his parents came, and then they all came. And the hard part about it was, because of COVID, you can only have one visitor per day,
Mhm.
not at one time, but per day. So I figured, you know what? I just spent all day with this guy. His parents are here, so I'm just gonna, I'm just gonna, you know, it, he was tired. He saw his mom and dad. He couldn't really talk because he had all these things put up on him,
Right.
but hooked up to him. But basically, I stayed up there for about a week after that. I didn't get to see him again, but that was by design. I didn't want to see him again.
Mhm.
Not that I didn't want to, but I didn't, not because I didn't want to see Sarakata. Obviously, I wanted to, but he was on a hour by hour basis as far as life or death, and I did not
Mhm.
want to take that away from his family.
Right.
And you could only have one person per day. So in other words, his mom and dad had to make a choice. Okay, who gets to see him today?
Right.
So basically, I just stayed up there for a week, and I figured, you know what? I can't see Sarakata, but I can see his family, and I can see, his mom and dad and his brother. And his mom and dad didn't speak English. They're in
Mhm.
Kansas City. They've never been to Kansas City in their life. His mom and dad are from Haiti and Ghana. They barely spoke English. So the older brother came with. And so for that whole week, basically, I tried to take care of them, and then set up some things, um, for like a GoFundMe and all that stuff, to where the parents didn't have to worry, because the parents were, I know if it was myself and my wife, I wouldn't want my wife to have to choose between work or taking care of our son.
Mhm.
And so basically, we tried to set up a GoFundMe, um, and a few other things as far as meals for them and housing for them, because it kind of got really expensive. Um, you're talking about downtown Kansas City on a whim. It's not something that you can. I mean, we just needed some place,
Right.
and so anyway, long story short, he was in ICU for about 4 weeks. He
Mhm.
Today is October 14th. He got. I talked to him 2 days ago, and he was doing better. He was talking kind of like this. Yep, I'm good, coach.
Mhm.
Real slow, but he's doing a whole lot better. He's off of his balloon pump. He was actually on the list to get a heart transplant. He's not
Mhm.
on that list anymore.
Okay.
Doesn't mean he can't go back on that list, but his heart was working at like 40%.
Mhm.
He had to get on dialysis because he had a lot of fluid on his kidneys and liver. And I mean, he was in bad shape. At one point, they thought he might have a hole in his liver,
Mhm.
and so. But yesterday, thank God, he got discharged from the hospital.
Excellent.
And so before I left Kansas City to come back to work, his we found some people that were friends of his families,
Mhm.
in Kansas City, that spoke their language and all that stuff. So the parents didn't have to stay in a hotel. They stayed with this family in Kansas City that could speak their language and to help them out and everything. And they've been staying there. And so for the next 2 weeks, starting yesterday,
Mhm.
he's got to stay in Kansas City just in case something goes wrong. And then after those 2 weeks, he'll be transferred back to home to New York City,
Mhm.
for rehab. And that they told me that could take up to 6 to 7 months as far as figuring out rehab and getting him back to normal. But talking to Sarakata, he thinks he's going to come back here next semester and go to classes and be a regular student and this and this and this, and so be it. I don't want to tell him any different. And that's a tough guy. And I knew he was going to keep fighting, because I said, Sarakata, man, you're going to be okay.
Mhm.
This is back when it all first started. And he goes, Coach, matter of fact, it was on the ambulance going to the flight from Wichita to Kansas City. He goes, I go, Coach Surakata, you good? Like I said, I'm here with you. I'm going to be here with you the whole way. You know, I'm not going to leave your side. You know, we're going to take care of you. These people are great. You know, nothing to worry about. And I said, you going to be okay? He goes, I said, I need you to fight, man. He goes, Coach, I'm going to be okay. I said, wait, okay, that's great. He goes, you know why? I go, tell me why. Like, tell me. Like, tell me why. He goes, I have sword across my chest. I said, that's a guy that gets it right there. That's a fighter. That's everything. And you've been around our program a lot last year and stuff when we were playing. I mean, that's a guy that gets it.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, he gets it. And so that's just some edification to, you know, maybe some of, you know, not everything as a coach gets through, but even if it's one or two things, that's, I'm glad that one got through. And so anyway, I'm real excited for him. I'm happy for him. I mean, that's a guy I'm going to try to help him, obviously, the rest of his life, just like any of the rest of our guys. But, man, he's a fighter. And I'm excited that he got discharged yesterday, and everything's good with the family that he's staying with now, too. So it was good.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you just don't know, you know, you're on the brink, and here
Right?
it is. And I'm sure that when you went through that, that it was pretty scary. And then suddenly, you know, it's now 4 or 5 weeks, a month later, and he's out. And that's just great, you know, especially with all these tough times that I'm knowing.
Yep.
But the one thing that it really goes back to is, you know, it's about family. You know, we
No
talk
question.
about coaches and we talk about basketball teams and, you know, it's a business and, you know, they're only good for us for whatever. But to be quite honest, you know, we take these kids in, they make a commitment to us. And your coach, there'll be times when I'll see you and you're on them. But you know what? It's all about a process of it all. You
Right.
know, there is that love there, and we know there's
Oh, yeah.
that family that care for each other. Even though that I'm sure that even though that they couldn't be up there, every probably team member probably wanted to be up there with Sarakata,
Oh,
cheering
yeah.
them on with the prayers and such.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, you were basically the one that had to do it because you're the
Yeah.
leader of that squad.
Right. Right.
And I just sort of think that it would have been easy for you to just sort of not do anything. It probably would have been easy for you, and not literally, but I'm like, it would have been easy just to sort of go on, have it, you know, other people take care of it. But, you know, he needed you. And I
Right.
think that's really, really important. It shows, like you sort of said, it's all about Seward. It's all about the Saints. When you come here and make a commitment to us, yeah, it's, you know, we expect it back. But when you need it, we're here for you. And I
Yeah.
think that really showed it.
Well, it's something that I tell recruits all the time, and I tell their parents and families as well. Listen, I'm going to be hard on them. They will call home and complain about me being hard on them. No doubt about it. But they've tried it their way in the past, and that's got them to junior college, not Division I, where they really want to be, right? Or whatever the next level is for them. They've tried it their way. Now, when you're here, you're going to do it this way, our way, the Saints way, and you're going to give us a year or two of your life. But in the flip of that, on the return, we're going to give you the rest of ours. And so Surakata gave us a year of his life last year. I don't know if Surakata will ever be able to play basketball again, but I promise you this: as the sun kind of came up this morning, I will be there for Surakata for the rest of his life. And that's something that we tell guys all the time. You give us a year or two of your life, we're going to give you the rest of ours. Plain and simple.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, an example of that, I mean, one of my assistant coaches, I was college teammates with. Like, we met each other 22 years ago. Another assistant coach of mine, he was a former player of mine. And I've coached him 17 years ago. So it's one of those things where, I mean, you know, I have a saying, once you're my guy, you're always my guy. And we're close. I mean, we're close. And, you know, we go through some things, just like every family. I've never known a family not to have an argument. I've never known a family not to, you know, get on to each other or hold each other accountable. but it's all about love and making sure everybody's held accountable and we're all going the same direction in the same way. And at the end of it, it is what it is. And I'll give you another example. I don't know if I've told a player I've loved them as much as I've told Surakata. And when we were on that plane from Wichita to Kansas City, Surakata, you know, he was looking around, looking for me. I was sitting. First of all, it's not a big plane; it's a little plane. But basically, I was sitting to the right of him and behind him, and he couldn't see me because he was laying down and facing this way, and I'm back here. And he kind of put his arm out like this, and the nurse was like, "Do you need something?" And he just, you know, he like kind of shook his head no a little bit, and then he mumbled something, and they couldn't understand what he was saying. So I put my head down there to like listen, and I'm like, oh, he's talking to me. She goes, "What did he say?" And I grabbed his hand and I go, he said he loved me. and she goes, "Is that what you said?" He goes. So I just held his hand, and man, I'm telling you, like that just lets you know just how important you are as a coach to these young men's lives. And sometimes they don't know it at the time until you get into a situation like that. And you know, sometimes as a coach, you don't know if things are getting through to them. But you know, when the quote unquote rubber meets the road, you know, I'm blessed to be in the position I am. I'm blessed to be able to be in these guys' lives. I understand. There's three core principles that we have as far as me being a head coach with this team. One is I always want to make sure that I understand and they understand. I want them to be the best men as possible, right? We have character coaches as well that we have. And you know, so you could think of it like a team chaplain, but we have a character coach. And three things I always want to talk about: be the best man as possible. A lot of them, like I've coached young men who have never had, like I'll give you a perfect example. I've coached one young man. His dad literally lived he was from New York. His dad literally lived 2 blocks from him, and he knew who he was, but he never knew it was his dad, like his biological father. It is not forgotten on my part that some of these young men have no idea who their dad is, or never have been able. They know who they are, but never had a relationship. So 1, be the best man as possible. 2, be the best father as possible. Some of these young men that I have, they have kids, but maybe they didn't have a father around them, so they don't know how to be a father or whatever. You know, and I'm not perfect by any means, but that's the great part about it. We all can learn from each other. You know what I mean? And then 3, be the best husband as possible. I mean, you know my wife, and so, you know, like after every game, I try to find my wife right away. I always try to have just the other night, we were in the greenhouse playing wiffle ball, and I had my family and my kids with me. I mean, I want my guys to understand and see that, and you brought it up, it is a family. Like, and they're a part of our family. And when I say you give us a year or 2 of your life, and we'll give you a year, we'll give you the rest of our lives, I don't mean me. I mean my family, my wife, my kids. Like, you're a part of our family. You're a part of our tree, and what we're trying to get accomplished as far as you know, just being there for together. You know, because again,
it's more than just basketball. I mean,
right.
you know, it's basketball is a means to an end.
Correct.
But you know, this and what you've just sort of talked about is much more than that. It's
No
about
question.
teaching them through life, getting through it. You know, a lot of these kids, you know, they may play Division I, but are they going to be in the NBA? Probably not. You
Right.
know, but you know, they've got that experience. And again, hopefully what you've taught them and what we've gone forward will last with them. They'll learn about basketball. They'll learn how to play and be a but it's these core, you know, the core principles that you have that get them through life. After college, you know, yeah, they're probably not gonna, like I said, they're probably not gonna be, but they'll probably be better men to be going forward into their lives, going over there. They'll have friends. They'll have you a lot of times going in if they need something. And like you sort of said, it seems like you have a lot of players who who have played with you and coached with you on your team. If
Yep.
not, you'll get them somewhere. And hopefully after it's all said and done, they'll have learned something, hopefully being better basketball players as well, but also learned about life, learned about the importance of family, learned about caring about your teammates.
Right.
And, and you're setting the example for that. And I think that's just really important. We can get really sappy about that and say, but the truth is what you went through and go through for Surakata, he'll never forget you. He'll always remember you and during that life. And that's something to be super proud of, Coach. Something to be pretty amazing about over there. And I know that you're going to try to do your best to sort of keep those principles on, because that's your character. Like you sort of said before, that's the first thing. And a man with no character is not a man at all.
No question. No question. I appreciate your words. And yeah, I mean, these guys mean a lot to me. And that's, some coaches are afraid to coach because they're afraid to hurt their feelings or this and this and this. I'm not afraid to coach them, because at the end of the day, I understand, I know where my heart is. I know where I'm coming from. And I think people start understanding the situation, even more. And, I just feel like we have a really great group of guys as well. And they've been talking with Surakata a lot as well and keeping his spirits up. And, pretty great group of guys. And I'm excited. And I was excited I didn't really want to leave Surakata, but yet at the same time, I was excited to get back and to be able to be with this group of guys as well, his teammates and stuff. And once I knew that his family and was taken care of outside of the hospital, then I was excited to get back and get going. And the guys have been the same. So they've been working really, really hard. And obviously it's a weird year as far as COVID is concerned. And we're not able to scrimmage anybody outside of here. So it's one of those things where we're really trying to keep the morale up, for one, and then two, keep them engaged and wanting to keep going and going and going, even though we're not playing this semester. And so that's another challenge all in itself. And not your typical year. And I'll be honest with you, I'm glad I am the age that I am, or I should say have the experience that I've had, because I think if I was a lot younger coach without the experience that I have, I don't know if I would have dealt with it very well. Because I'll be honest with you, there were times when I was in my hotel room in Kansas City with up there with Surakata and his family. There were just times where I just had to turn my phone off, the computer, like everything off, and just really slow down and just take a deep breath, because it started getting to me mentally. Like, man,
Sure.
it really did. It really messed with me. And there was a lot of praying and a lot of calling my wife and all that stuff. And just really, I'm glad I wasn't coaching the team that week, because that would have been a hot mess. It just would have been.
Well, one of the things also that you preach to, just really quickly, mental toughness. And
No question.
this certainly doesn't get any more tougher than this, does it?
Right.
It
No.
certainly doesn't. When we talk about friends and such and family, and that's what it is. I'm like, to see someone, as I said before, on the brink of death and just going over there, it's it wears on you, especially when while his family's up there, you are probably one of the biggest things, conduit to get him to Kansas City before that. And
Right.
It's just one of those things that, again, like you sort of said, we can all sort of put it together with basketball, such, you have to be mentally tough, but it's nothing compared to life.
Right.
And
Well,
to getting through stuff.
Yeah, and I appreciate you bringing that up as well, as far as being mentally tough. And I think that kind of goes back to what I said as far as with Surakata. Surakata, you gonna be okay? Coach, I got sword across my chest. And that's a statement we say like in practice. Like, we're tough. We're tougher than everybody else. And here's why: because we have sword across our chest. And that means more than just yourself. It's bigger than just yourself. It's about you know, the guy to the left and the right of you. It's about this community. It's about this school. It's the, you know, it's the culture of, you know, what we're trying to establish as far as, you know, not just one year, but every year, you know, and it's not just men's basketball. It's every sport. It's everybody that works at Seward. I mean, this is our community. I mean, it's literally Seward County Community College. And, and so, you know, speaking of the community, I mean, the community, I mean, come on, the communities, I mean, you know, shoot, they're supporting this GoFundMe page like crazy. People here in the community and people, I mean, we got people all over. I mean, former alumni that found out about Surakata's deal have donated. People I've never even heard of have donated all over the world. And so as far as mental toughness, I mean, that's why I love athletics. You can learn so much through athletics, and everybody's, I just don't get it. Like, I don't get it. That's okay. You don't have to get it. But this situation right here, this is an illustration of a young man that's came through Seward and our program and our school. Like, now you see, like, that's the proof of why we have the culture that we have here at Seward. And it's just not, like I said, it's just not men's basketball. I mean, this is why I have our guys go cheer on the volleyball team at the national tournament. This is why you know, the softball team is going to go watch. Like, I mean, we all pull for each other. You know what I mean? And it was great. I mean, you know, you talk about taking athletics and applying it to life. This is a perfect example of everybody, not just men's basketball, but everybody as far as the school pulling together for a common good. And I think that's great for everybody to learn and participate in as well, for no matter what happens in life.
Well, Jason, thanks a lot for taking the time and talking with us about this experience. It's, you know, enlightening, and, you know, gives it a little bit of insight into, you know, not just, you know, it gives a little insight into you, into the athletic department, and into everything, you know, about what we really are all about.
Right.
And again, you know, next time we'll go over there when we have a little more time. We'll go and talk about the semester and the team and how everything's going to be going. I think it's going to be really exciting next semester. You know, it's going to be different, but, you know, you've got some returning players coming back, and it'll be a lot of fun. And, you know, we'll get together and we'll talk about something a little bit more lighthearted, I guess, in terms of basketball, a little bit more entertaining.
All right. Sounds good. And I appreciate you, and I appreciate everything you do for the school. And thank you, everybody, for watching. And, you know, it's good to be green, Phil.
All right. Thanks, Jason.
Thank you. All right. Bye.